Welcome to my views and news. Viewers, almost 2 months ago, Tigray People Liberation Front and Ethiopian federal government signed a peace agreement. Implementation is underway, but there are several key areas which are being neglected. The peace agreement does not cover some critical areas which should be covered by the relevant authorities, by the federal government of Ethiopia and Tigray regional government. But we are not seeing any progress, or nothing is being made public about these issues which are linked to Tigray conflict. It's the responsibility of both parties to clarify, to elaborate about what is being done to resolve these issues. First issue, refugees and IDPs. How many refugees are in Sudan? Thousands. More than 60,000, I think, fled Ethiopia since the start of this conflict in Ethiopia, in northern Ethiopia, in Tigray. They fled from Tigray, Amhara regions mostly. When will they return? Any preparations being made by the government? Regional government, federal government? Have you heard anything? I have not heard anything so far. Secondly, IDPs, internally displaced people. This war displaced tens of thousands, if not millions of people inside Ethiopia. From Volkayet, large number of Tigrayans were displaced. From Raya as well. From some parts of Amhara region as well, who have been returning in recent months. But there are thousands of others who are still displaced. Any policy to ensure their return to their places which they had to flee? No policy, no announcement by the governments so far. No figures as well. How many were displaced? Has the government, federal government, shared any numbers? No numbers so far. There must be details shared with the public by the government. How many were displaced? Where are they? Who is feeding them? Who is providing aid to them? What is government doing for the return? Thirdly, viewers, prisoners. Tigray forces captured thousands of ENDF and other soldiers, and they were released as well. I think there were around 20,000 ENDF soldiers, and thousands were released. Are there any ENDF soldiers still being kept as captives in Mekelle? And what about the Tigrinya-speaking ENDF members who were removed from their duties and they were put in prisons? And Tigrayans as well, some Tigray activists and others, they were arrested. They are in prisons too. People like Dori Eskedam and others who are in prison. Any understanding reached? If there is any understanding reached, it should be made public. What is the future of these prisoners? What is the future of former members of ENDF? Tigrinya speaking, no announcement from the government, both the governments, regional, federal, so far. And fourthly, viewers, Pretoria Agreement stipulates that interim setup will be put in place in Tigray. Then a regional election will be held in Tigray to elect the new assembly, new government. Question is, who will constitute interim setup? Who will be part of this interim setup? Which parties will be part of interim setup? Will civil society be part of it? Will bureaucracy be part of it? And what would be the percentage of the parties in interim setup? No details shared by the two sides so far. It's a very crucial question for the people of Tigray, that who will be in charge of interim government. Interim government will hold elections in Tigray. and then new government will be elected. So how will it be elected or selected? Interim government, no details, no one knows. Fifthly, viewers, what about the reintegration of Tigray forces in ENDF and Tigray's political elite or politicians in Addis Ababa? How many Tigray Population Fund leaders would be adjusted? And how many Tigrania-speaking Tigray fighters would be part of ENDF? Again, no clarity. Jawar also raised this question 2 days ago, but government has not shared anything so far about this key issue. Sixthly, with accountability, will there be accountability for war crimes committed in Tigray conflict? I'm not very hopeful, not very optimistic, but UN has formed a commission last year, more than a year ago. It was formed. Ethiopian government is not cooperating with this commission. Government tried to defund the commission. Commission could visit Ethiopia in coming days, but no one knows what is going to happen. Government has charged some soldiers with some war crimes. Otherwise, no progress has been made regarding the accountability for war crimes committed to conflict. Everyone confirms that there were massacres committed in Tigray, in Amhara regions, but no one is making any substantial progress towards accountability. And important issues, Raya Volkayat unresolved. Government is issuing ambiguous statements that constitutional order will be respected. Constitution will decide the future status of these two zones. We are hearing about maybe referendum in Raya, but not clear. Amhara forces are being told to leave Raya, but again, everything is shrouded in mystery. No one knows. Nothing made public so far. Tigray regional forces, again, very important issue, very important area. How many would they be? Will they be armed? Obviously, they'll be armed. Who will recruit new Tigray fighters? What will be the criteria? And will the new government recruit Tigray regional fighters, regional forces, or this government led by TPLF or interim government? Again, no one knows. And what is going to be the role of ENDF and regional forces in Tigray? Obviously, Tigray regional forces will be in charge of security, but who will they be? Will there be any criteria which should be made public in Tigray, or Tigray fighters on the basis of favoritism will be made part of regional forces? No one knows. There are several issues which are being overlooked. Don't know why. Maybe the two sides are now mainly focused on disarmament. Addis Ababa is focused on disarmament, Asmara as well. Tigray is focused on withdrawal of Eritrean military and Amhara forces, and Tigray is focused on restoration of basic services in Tigray like banking, telecom, and other services. But there are lots of issues which will have to be tackled in coming days. Tigray needs reconstruction, infrastructure destroyed, people's livelihoods destroyed. Who will rebuild Tigray? Does Ethiopian government have money to rebuild Tigray? No. Then who will rebuild Tigray? Tigray needs financial support from abroad. Will there be some donors' conferences in coming weeks to raise funds for Tigray's destroyed infrastructure? Which could happen, which should happen, I think. And in Amhara region as well, in border areas, in Amhara, Afar, there was destruction too. So there must be held some international donor meetings with participation of international and regional players. That is what Tigray needs. But so far, I think initial implementation of peace deal is underway, and that is mainly focusing on withdrawal of forces and restoration of services, and disarmament. But other key issues are pending, which will take months, if not years, to be solved. So, a long way to go for complete peace and prosperity in Tigray and in neighboring regions of Ethiopia as well. Tigray neighboring regions like Amhara, Afar regions. Thank you for watching.